Hello! In this video, I will walk through the process of building an LTV curve for your mobile app. Specifically, I'll walk through building an LTV curve for a single source of traffic, right? And so the idea here is that I will kind of explain how you'd want to format the data, explain the sort of general approach, and then I will bring this into Agamemnon and show you how to use Agamemnon to build the actual LTV curve. So what you have here is a very basic template that a user acquisition manager might create in a report that tracks revenues across a paid user acquisition campaign that they're running. So this is a sample campaign. It's for My Great Game, running in the US, running on iOS, running on Facebook for week 1, right? So we've got 1 week's worth of data here, so 7 days worth of campaign data broken out by day. And each of these rows represents a cohort, right? And the reason it takes this shape, this kind of like waterfall arrow shape, is that for each day, you've basically got as many days as the campaign had been alive by that point, right? So the first day you've got 7 days because you track 7 days. On the second day you've got 6 days because it started on day 2 and you track 7 days. The third day you've got 5 days, so on and so forth. Until the 7th day, you've got 1 day of data because you stopped the campaign on day 7, at the end of day 7, and this is day 8, and we're going back and we're looking at the days of data. So this is total spend. Each of these cells, it represents total spend for every user from that cohort that appeared in the app on that day. And what I mean by that is that, let's say we're on day 4 for the first cohort. So this is basically the 4th day of the cohort being alive. We don't know how many. I don't care necessarily for the purposes of this LTV model exercise how many of these 500 users came on that day. That's more of a retention thing. But here we see that of the users that were sort of born in this cohort, on day 4, the total amount of money that they spent was $82, right? And by the way, this spreadsheet is available. You can click the link in the notes to the video and you can go through the calculations yourself. So what we're really interested in are these 2 rows. The first is average daily spend. And what I mean by that, this is average daily spend across the cohort by across the campaign by day, right? So like I said, day 3, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of data. Day 7, we've got 1 day of data. What we want to do is we want to pool all of the campaign data together. And we want to say, okay, on average for this campaign, not any given cohort, but for the campaign, how much on average did a user spend on this day, right? So, and you'll notice that these numbers don't generally trend one direction or the other. They sort of exist in this narrow band of values. But the second row is even more important. This is average cumulative spend, right? So this means by some day, so over across the entire campaign that we ran, by X day, this is how much money on average a user would have spent in total, not on that day, but from the very start up to that day, right? So for example, this cell is, on average across this campaign, a user at the end of day 4 would have spent 82 cents. And this is what we're going to use to build our LTV model in Agamemnon. And again, you can come back to this spreadsheet and check it out yourself. The link is in the notes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the values for day 1, 3, and 7. We're going to plug them into Agamemnon, right? So first, we'll go to Agamemnon. We'll click Add LTV Profile. We'll go to day 1. And we'll paste the value for day 1, which was 24 cents. Then we'll go to day 3. We'll go back into Agamemnon, and we'll paste the values. And you don't have to use these preset values. You could change this to day 30. You could change it to day 180. For this example, we'll use 1, 3, and 7 because it's easy. But you can plug in whatever you want here. And then next we'll get day 7, which is $1.33. So this is like an exceptionally monetizing app. Good for them. I hope they cut me in on the equity if they use Agamemnon. And so what we'll do now is we've got the values plugged in. This is the LTV profile is for Facebook, US, iOS, right? Because that's the campaign we were running. We'll click Create. We'll open it up. And what this has done is it's taken our actual values, the actual values that we've tracked for this campaign, it's plugged them into the model, and then it's projected out the LTV to day 365, right? So basically this is projected out the sort of cumulative spend to a day 365 LTV, lifetime value. And what the value ends up being is $3.42. And so what we can say is, okay, each of these days we have these average values. On day 365, we expect a user from Facebook, from iOS, on iOS in the US, we'd expect them by day 365 to spend $3.42.